Well, ladies and gentlemen, we know you want to spend a lot of money on Jinx.com, and we're going to give you a way to do it while saving 10% off of all your purchases. Not 9, not 8, we're going down, we're going back up. 10% off of all your purchases on Jinx.com. How? Use the promo code QUITSTALLING_366 at checkout, and maybe, just maybe, you can get that new Shroud shirt or that new Dragon Age shirt with 10% off. Ladies and gentlemen, QUITSTALLING_366 saves you 10% off of everything. Maybe stuff that isn't on sale. You know, I haven't checked the code recently, but yes, 10% off of stuff that isn't on sale by using the promo code QUITSTALLING_366. Oh, whether it's a Shroud shirt, an Overwatch shirt, or the original Jinx brand t-shirts. Use the promo code QUITSTALLING_366 and save yourself 10% off of all of it. All of it. And welcome. Welcome, everyone, to GameByte. Yes, GameByte, your weekly fix for, tomfoolery on the internet. Sometimes we talk about video games. Sometimes we have a guest interview that's related to video games, more or less. More or less. We try and weed out the good guests from the bad. As you can tell, we're not really good at that. But we're getting there. We're getting there. All right. But we want to welcome everyone, new and old, to the show. I am your host. If it's the first time you're seeing me, I am not a decoy. I am not a life model decoy or like some virtual reality simulation. I am Herald Silvestre. And I got some co-hosts, a co-host actually today, along with a man who looks absolutely fantastic with a beard. I can't grow one. I tried. It just ends up like looking like a Fu Manchu thing. I got the man known as InstaDZ. D's nuts. How you doing, Diego?
Oh man, my initials have come to haunt me. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining this Sunday morning, Saturday evening, I think, for our international listeners.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, just a quick thingy. Sorry, I lost of words. I have a loss of words right now. Many of you might not be used to my new background, so I just recently moved cities. From the province. Now I'm kind of in the mainland, even if it's just 15 minutes away, whatever. So yeah, moved
the
to
mainland,
my friend's
you're in
place,
China.
so the background's different. But I have a nice light on my side. I have more light in the room where I don't need my own light anymore until it's the evening show. So yeah, it's gonna look a bit different, but I hope you all get used to it because I'm gonna be here for a while. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show because I believe today is gonna be good. And my boss is giving me the thumbs up from the room. Yeah, I live with my boss.
I'm not his boss, by the way. It's someone else.
Yeah, I live with my roommate, who's my friend since I was grade 2, and he's my boss at the same time. So. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that's for me. Harold, why don't you be the one to introduce the main attraction of today's show?
Of course, DZ. And you know what? You're talking about your boss, and some people were saying it's about time you guys moved in together. Right? You guys have known each other for so long. All right, and yeah, a lot of us were thinking, when's it gonna happen? And it finally did. So we're so happy for you, Diego. And someone else we're happy for had celebrated their 4th anniversary on their podcast very recently. All right, he's a man you'll regularly find next to a certain war chief that we had on the show previously. He's the guild master of the guild known as Blood of the Scribe. Yes, that Blood of the Scribe, the Blood of the Scribe. Ballers, give it up for Thornbrow. How you doing, Thorn?
Hey! I think you guys might have the wrong guest. My name is T-Dog, and I run the podcast called State Festival Blue Ribbon Best. And if you want to check us out, we're agriculture related, and we like farm livestock. And now back to you.
Thanks, T-Dog. Okay. I knew we didn't weed out the guests properly. I didn't think we did it this bad.
No, thanks, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Thanks for coming on, T-Dog. It's great to have you. Like I mentioned in the promo and during the pre-show, and pretty much every time I talk to you, it's like, I'm so happy that you've come on GameByte and you've spared some time out of your busy days and schedules to just say hi, and grace us with your presence.
Wow. Thanks.
Wow.
Talking like I'm royalty or something here. That's really great for the ego. Thank you so much.
That's what we do. We stroke one's ego to the max.
Yes.
I get it.
'Cause how could we not, right? How could we
I'm
not? DZ,
familiar
like,
with stroking to the max. I get it.
I'm gonna love the show so much. I'm just gonna say it now. And Thyst is gonna be so jealous when Thorn goes on Laggin Balls and he's like, "Hey, you know what? I stroked those guys to the max. You left them wanting more last time you were on. So yeah, they're pretty happy now. They're pretty."
All right, quick before we continue, while I can make that segue, I think we have to fix the Nightbot. I think that Thornbrow got timed out for giving the Jinx link.
Oh, what?
I was supporting the ad and it just
Bad
just
Nightbot.
banhammered me. It's all good. It doesn't matter.
Bad
You guys
Nightbot.
had the
Nightbot.
link up right after.
You know what, Thorn? I'm kicking Nightbot. Nightbot, you are no
don't,
longer an
don't. It's all
admin.
good.
No, he's fired. He's fired. Why would you do? That's my bad. I'm supposed to remove
good.
spam protection. No, it's not good. You are our guest. You have come to our home,
I
and
was
we have
spamming,
treated
though.
you so. It's fine.
I was totally
all right?
spamming.
It is not your fault. All right, Nightbot is fired. He's been disabled. He's been shut down like the droid he is. And now it is, everyone in the chat link something. All right, just link something. And
All his purpose is to pass
Oh,
the butter.
boy.
That's all.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay, gotta compose myself. Guys, gentlemen, and ladies in the chat, and everyone in between. We start off the show the same way. And I ask my co-hosts and the guests, what have you been playing? And I ask everyone in the chat the same thing. And if you're not watching live, tweet us at @QuitStallingUs. Hashtag GameByte. Let us know what you've been playing. DZ, kick us off. Let us know how it's done.
My god, what happened? Oh my god. The weirdest thing happened with my Origin just yesterday. You remember, like last month, when Sims was free for the whole weekend?
Yeah.
All my friends that are girls on Facebook started saying, "Oh my god, Sims is free for the weekend, blah blah blah." So everyone was downloading it, right? So I decided I'll download it as well. I'll put it in my library. Actually, wait, here's the thing. I just put it in my library. That's the thing with Origin. You can just add, if the game is free for the week, you can add it to your library, right? But you don't download it yet. So I decided to just add it. Then I never touched it till yesterday. And then for some reason, yesterday when I checked my Origin, I had a fully purchased Sims 4. And no idea why. So like I checked the purchase history, and then it says there that it's like because I think when we make transactions to Origin here, it's Singaporean dollars. So it says I purchased it for 49 SGD, and then it got slashed out.
49 some goddamn.
Yeah, and then it was a zero SGD purchase. Like it was free, pretty much. And I have the game. Like, wow, okay. I even have the code and everything.
Hell yeah.
So I just created a character last night, and then I just decided, nah, I don't want to create a second life, so to speak. But yeah, I'll probably get to it. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, what did you say?
No, can I interrupt real quick? As long as you're saying Second Life, you know the game Second Life?
Yes.
Did you guys know that game is banned from Twitch? Like, you can't stream that game?
What?
Really?
Did you know that?
Since
I just
when?
found that out yesterday. Okay, I don't know how long that's been the case. Come to think of it, I'm not sure I've ever seen a stream of Second Life. Not that I was looking, but I looked at the I guess it's probably a Twitch blog or a help posting or whatever about the games that are banned, because there's a game I want that is about let's say well-endowed ladies playing with squirt guns on the beach.
As you do.
As you do. And I find that hilarious. The trailer is hilarious, and it's over the top, like
oh man. Yeah.
boob physics, let's say. Okay.
Oh,
and so
wow.
that's hilarious to me. And so I went to look for the list of banned games specifically to see, like, if I buy that, can I stream it? Because that's too funny. And it's not on that list, thankfully. But then when I looked at the list, there were some messed up things on there, and then there was Second Life. And I was like, strange. I wouldn't expect that to be on there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list now. There's quite a number. There's quite a number, and a lot of them are really
some that
weird.
look like some look like they really belong there. Honestly.
Yeah, there's the one right below Second Life is pretty weird on that list.
Oh, I don't have it in front of me, but
It's somewhere
I
in
know.
Google.
there are some straight up red flag words in just the names of some of those games,
Oh,
and so
man.
you see why they're banned, and I'm glad they're banned. I think that is. But then again, given like all like the wide range of things that can happen in Second Life, I guess I kind of get it. But I wonder what it is that happened that like, because it must have been out there to begin with, and they probably like, I don't know.
That was
Yeah, it's got to be like,
I get it.
yeah, it's got to be something with
Basically,
like
like
the
the-
developer side, right? Like,
maybe.
I don't know.
yeah.
But like
Cool.
based on like I'm looking at the forum, it was like banned since I don't know, maybe 2015.
What?
Okay.
So it's been that long ago. That's already
Wow.
been 4 years since then. But
Okay.
yeah, so like, but yeah, like that's all. That's the only thing new I've been playing. Like, which is I played for like 15 minutes, which was Sims 4. I guess if you want to count Apex Legends, okay. That's pretty much it. Just
Okay.
going through the limited time event with the Elite Access.
Oh,
And
for
I think-
Apex.
yeah, for Apex
Okay.
Legends. I mean, the game is still on its same problems in terms of the hackers and stuff. But I think
Yeah.
the quality of the game's changed a bit because of that system. I mean, there's more incentive to just being the top 5 instead of being number 1. Like as long as you're top 5, even in a regular game, like I did it. And then when you go into
Okay.
a top 5 game, you're playing with possibly majority of the people who aren't spam bots or hackers. So I guess there is, all in all, I'm glad that despite what they say about Apex is that it was supposedly gonna dethrone Fortnite and then it fell short and all that. At least the Respawn is still at it and they're still making the game better.
Heck yes.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yes. DZ's, sorry,
I
while
just-
we're on Sims. Oh, sorry, Thorn. Go ahead.
Just in terms of Apex, I cannot imagine how difficult it is to be. This is going to sound weird. I cannot imagine how difficult it is to be leadership in the gaming industry, because if you're making corporate decisions based on like, making the most revenue you can off of a game, getting the most return on investment for all the resources you put in to create the game, there are developer cycles that drive things, and especially in a professional environment, especially the bigger the gaming company, the more pressure there is, especially if it's something like a public company, to push those dev cycles forward and to push out the games whether they're kind of fully ready or not. And if you look at like the old Blizzard, they had the luxury of being a private company and they could decide those timelines. That's where the infamous soon TM comes from, right?
Yes, exactly.
Because they would say
yeah,
it'll be
yeah.
ready soon, and it was their call. They didn't have to answer to anybody, and they could say it'll be ready when it's ready. And
Yeah.
that's not something that they're going to be able to do anymore in the new corporate culture. But they're far from alone in that, right? So you got something like Apex, and did they expect it to be as big as it really was those first few weeks? Because it was huge those first few weeks. But it
Yeah.
seems like they weren't able to take advantage of the momentum, right?
I agree.
So
I agree.
It seems to me like there was probably management decisions about how much to have ready for launch, and then the dev cycle maybe wasn't fast enough to keep up with the demand.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because they weren't
that's-
really expecting it to be this big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
what she
man,
said.
that's so true. How did you know?
The finger behind you gave me a clue.
Okay, I, that's my bad. That's my bad. Thorn, what have you been
What have you been playing?
So I am an Overwatch addict. We talked about that a little bit pre-show. Your promo was great about me being a Symmetra addict, because that's absolutely true right now. I play Overwatch most of the time. It's been something where I am like incredibly addicted to it. Where like if I'm not watching it, or if I'm not playing it, I'm trying to watch something on YouTube. I've been putting myself through what I've been calling Overwatch Academy. So I've been just watching videos like crazy to try and learn every aspect about the game I can, improve my game sense, improve my aim, improve my whatever, alt tracking, all these things that, as a pleb player who hasn't played FPSs since like GoldenEye 007 before this, I
snap.
am way out. I came into this way out of practice. I actually got placed in bronze originally in like season 3 or whatever when I
wow.
first started in comp. It was bad,
Okay.
and I'm thankfully not that anymore. But I'm trying to continue on, and so that's a big part of what I play. In a secondary way, I have as I think we all do, a large Steam library full of things that I hardly ever touch.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so yesterday I did a specialty stream. Earlier in the week, I put up a poll saying, "Hey guys, here's a list of 4 different games. What would you like to see me play?" Nice, you got some game footage in there of me. Thanks from yesterday. That's awesome. See, production value, man, off the charts. Nice work. So yeah, first foray into Witcher 3. And I've already decided that all I want to do is bang Yennefer, so I hope that's what the game's about.
From what I've seen, yeah.
Good.
From what I've seen on what is it, Rule 34 and Reddit, yeah, that's pretty much what it's about. So you're set.
That's why she looks familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course Warcraft. As the old standby, and it looks like some people from chat here are going to be getting back into it. That's awesome. I haven't delved into Classic at all yet, but I will once it's out. And I don't think it'll be someplace that I stay for very long, if I'm being honest, but I'm going to try.
Yeah, so I wanted to get your thoughts on Classic because you've mentioned it on your other shows, on Convert to Raid and Lagging Balls, and you just mentioned it now. Classic is kind of hitting Twitch hard right now. Most of the top streams you see are like 9 out of 10 are people leveling to level 40, which is the current cap in Classic, and then you see one mythic dungeon streamer who's actually probably in the MDI in Australia with this right now. So it's 10 out of 10 people leveling to 40 in Classic, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Maybe we could. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. How many people are so into it, and I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of happy for the people who finally got what they wanted. Guys like Shroud, who've been streaming FPSs and used to play World of Warcraft, now get to play it on stream the way they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a strange situation, right? Like how many game developers take an old version of their game and kind of reboot it for out of sheer desire from the fans, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever happened before.
You remember when like Blizzard outright said like you don't know what something along the lines of like you don't know what you guys want, they said it wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, it was current president J. Allen Brack who was like, you think you want it, but you don't.
Yeah, that's it. Then look at it now, like
love that guy.
Everyone's enjoying it.
Yeah,
but like to be honest, like I want to get. I want to ask you guys. Do you guys like Harold? Have you played Classic since it was released?
No, because the beta was kind of going out in waves, and I didn't sign up for the beta because I knew that if ever I did play Classic, I'd want to get it upon its release and not just the beta because it comes with your regular sub. So I was like, you know what? I'll wait for the final thing because I play with emotion, and I don't want my character to just disappear in the east into the nether. So I was like, I'll wait till it's out. Right? Yeah. Oh. So thanks for asking, DZ. But yeah, like I haven't. Why do you ask?
Oh, it's because I'm just like really curious. I've barely played WoW. Like, it's one of the MMOs I barely got into. I did try with Herald for a bit, but as an MMO in general, where they're rebooting the classic version, is it more of that it's actually a really good game in itself, or is that everyone's just having a really massive nostalgia trip?
It might be a bit of both. Like I would love to ask someone who's played Classic and who's currently playing Classic because I don't want to answer for them. Thorn, if you were to play Classic, why would you? That's a great question, DZ. We should actually save that for the interview part. But like, while we're on it, if you were to play Classic, Thorn, why would you do it?
I wasn't there for it, so
for
me it'd be a new old experience.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And also, a really good friend of mine is a content creator for Classic in particular. His name's Platinum Wow. You should check out his YouTube. He's very good. And
He is good.
but he's a good friend of mine, really close friend. He's been in our raid group for years, in our guild for years. We hang out at BlizzCon, that sort of thing. Really good friend. Did I mention he's a really good friend? And then since he makes that the Classic content, he's been keeping me really interested in it. And I also had a group of friends who I first originally joined Warcraft for because of how much they talked about it, and one of them stopped playing around Pandaria because he was just like absolutely disgusted with how the game had gone and like all of the business decisions they're making and like how they're opening it on up to everybody and making it more universal and accessible and all these things that we called quality of life improvements. He called pandering to the masses or some crap like that. So
pandering to the masses during Mists of Pandaria.
Exactly. He is stoked about Classic, and I love that it's bringing people like that back. People who want to min-max and delve into the math behind it all, and the people who really enjoy grinding the same kind of things like 100 times to try and get that one recipe for that one potion that gives you plus 1% crit and makes you just invincible in PvP or whatever. Like those things where like the people who know those specific things are absolutely stoked about it, and that was their game. And I get that the game has changed enough that it's not that appealing for other people, whereas it's been far more appealing to a lot more people because of it. I feel like that that could be argued either way, really. But I get it on both ends, and I don't know about that quote from J. Allen Brack, but clearly there's a lot of interest. But to what DZ was saying, I agree, and I feel like it's a bit of both in terms of nostalgia, and it's still the new old hotness right now.
Yes.
And it's also just like that was what was hilarious to me was I'm watching the MDI late last night for me, probably closer to time zones for you guys, and there's so many comments in chat. Like as usual, give it to the Twitch people to just like pop in and just like shit all over something.
Yeah,
and then continue to stay and continue to shit all over.
Yeah.
Like they do it enough times when somebody's finally like, why are you here?
Exactly, right? Like the people who are just like, 6,000 viewers for a major tournament final. Lol. Like, why are you
Not
here?
The final.
Yeah, like, and it's not even the final. Yeah, so it's like,
No.
come on, Sid.
Yeah, but to be fair, on the under the Warcraft Twitch channels, it's exactly like you said. It was, it was the second biggest broadcast under Warcraft under somebody streaming.
Not bad.
Yeah, I mean,
not bad.
It's funny, and then I opened another screen to watch the guy showing Classic, and it was so boring.
Oh no!
Killing mobs one by one, and like sitting and drinking, and like killing another mob, and like sitting and drinking. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I get the nostalgia of going to play it. I don't know that I get the nostalgia watching it. What? It's probably because it's still in beta. And not everybody has access. That's got to be it.
That's true. And we've compared a lot of games to golf here, DZ. Yeah, we've said Hearthstone is the golf of esports. We've said we've said a lot of things as the golf of esports. But I think Classic WoW would be the golf of streaming, if ever. Just be like, he's setting up his putt. He's drinking his water, consuming his conjured mana.
It may be the golf of MMORPGs, but like people like Strippin and like Summit 1G, they're getting thousands of views playing it right now.
And I'm actually surprised.
He was the one.
Oh, he was.
He was the one who was Summit 1G was the one who was streaming, who was above the.
But I'm glad there are exceptions when it comes to streamers. Like no matter how boring the game is, like because of them alone, like people watch.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why we have a lot of people watching this episode because we got Thorn on the show. We got Thorn on today's episode. All right, usually we get a average, a mighty average of 3 viewers, but today we're bumping it up a bit. We're bumping. I'm not looking at the numbers, but we're bumping it up to 7 digits today. That's just the magical effect of Thorn. But I want to read what people have been playing in the chat. No, dude, please take everything. All right, as long as you have time, we will take yours as well. So, I want to check in the chat real quick. Oh, sorry, Thorn. Have you been playing anything else aside from Witcher and WoW and all that?
So I'm crazy behind on most games because I have just been in the Blizzard storm, if you will, for years now, and have put most of my limited time into just that. So, again, I have a large library of Steam games that I've barely touched, but some of my favorites that I've played a little bit of recently were Hotline Miami, which is an amazing 2D top-down crazy game. I revisited Firewatch just a little bit.
Okay.
I just started Don't Starve Together because I've never played that, and actually a friend of mine bought it for me. And and so I keep playing with the idea of doing streams of almost like classic games, but just games that I missed out on completely because I got back into gaming around the time of the Nintendo Wii. Like that was the first thing that I got that got me back into gaming as an adult.
And fitness.
And breaking things in your room with the remotes that you didn't put around your wrist. But yeah, I was playing stuff on that. I was playing Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess on that, and I just put a couple hundred hours into that game and absolutely fell in love. And I was just like, oh my god, how have I been missing out on gaming? Like I used to love this so much. Why did I ever stop? Kind of thing. Yeah. And then I was just like, screw it, I'm gonna try Warcraft. I keep talking about it. My friends keep talking about it. I tried that, and it was kind of like. Then I had to get a gaming PC, and because as you do, and then I went down that rabbit hole of Blizzard games so deeply that I just really never played too much else since then, except here and there. So I have things in my list like Assassin's Creed 2 that I've never played, and
wow,
BioShock I only just played through the first time on stream last year for the very first time. Never touched the entire series. I played BioShock 1 remastered for the first time.
That's awesome. How was it?
It was awesome. Yeah, people were making jokes on last night's stream on the Witcher about jokes from that one, where we were talking about how the wrench was OP, and I was just walking around killing everything with the goddamn wrench.
Oh yeah,
because it just slays.
Man, that's good that you're getting into a lot of those single player games now. It's now it's kind of all BR and multiplayer and live services. So now's a good time to dial it back, get back into single player experiences.
The DLCs, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Heck yes. All right. I'm gonna delve into chat real quick and see what other people have been playing. ElderDjinn mentioned that because of me and gifting him a sub, and because of our WoW RP adventures, he's playing WoW. He's playing WoW. I want to give a huge shout out to Thyst, who's in Australia right now. Straya, a couple of hours ahead of us in the future, dropping by. Thank you for dropping by, Thyst, and checking out Thorn and the rest of the ballers here on GameByte. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you've been playing in the chat. Wicked Kitten says Coughs and Heroes of the Storm. I love Wicked Kitten streams when she streams Heroes of the Storm. I consider myself a kitten.
That baby.
And oh yeah. So yeah, guys, let us know what you've been playing. I see Notorious KGM up in there. Urim, what have you been playing? All right. And thanks for asking, DZ. So I have been playing.
You're welcome.
I have been playing a little game that Thorn's been playing as well, called World of Warcraft. I've been playing with our friends. Yeah, I've been playing with people like coaxed. Oh, why does that look like that? There we go. I've been playing with friends who I've coaxed into fellow co-hosts of Quit Stalling. I've coaxed them into joining us here in the World of Warcraft. We're hoarding it up on Wormrest Accord, one of the role-playing servers, because I really wanted to try it out. I really wanted to try RP out because I play Dungeons and Dragons with other friends offline, and I was like, you know what, World of Warcraft is like D&D, but with in-game visuals and spell effects, and I kind of want to role play in that with friends. So yeah, I strung a group together, like Mr. Von Scalenheim over here on screen. If you guys are watching the video version of the podcast, ElderDjinn has rolled a warlock for us, and yeah, we're having so much fun. And I actually didn't think we'd enjoy this much. I knew we'd have fun. I didn't think we'd enjoy this much, to the point that ElderDjinn, Scalenheim here, and Sensei Humor Derek O'Brien, aka Hungry Fist, have actually continued to play offline without being on stream. And
Nice.
they're kind of hooked. And now my worry is they'll do all the quests and we'll have nothing to do on stream. But such is the fun of a sandboxy game in an MMO like World of Warcraft. So like I'm so happy, and because of that I've been playing more WoW as well. You know, I've decided to keep going here in Battle for Azeroth.
What are you playing?
Aside from playing an Orc Shaman with the guys on RP, on our RP streams, I actually play. Man, Thyst is gonna leave now. I actually play a Night Elf Demon Hunter as my main in a Convert to Raid group. But I do have a Tauren Chieftain who I view as a chieftain and not a paladin, because because Warcraft 3. I play a Tauren Paladin in endgame as well. I just haven't been able to raid as much. I was actually looking to get into Blood of the Scribe, but time difference is kind of rough.
Ooh,
yeah, it's tough. But yeah, like I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft recently because of the hype I've gotten with these RP streams, and it's just super fun. It's just super fun, and rediscovering different ways to play the game, because early on, you know, I kind of played because people were like, you know what, get to end game and then the game begins. So as much as I wanted to enjoy the journey, I was kind of influenced to get to the end game, you know, get to the end and begin. And now that I'm doing this, I'm kind of refinding a different love for the game that I thought I would get initially, because I got into WoW for the lore, and mainly Demon Hunters, but for the lore, and you know, just seeing it head on and being in character is kind of like it feels like sort of a different game, a familiar but different game. So
Nice.
Thoroughly enjoying that, and we're throwing clips together, very inspired by Platinum, like who you mentioned earlier on, Thorn, because I was trying to find the voice for our videos. I didn't want it to be too comedic, because that's pretty much all we do is make fun of each other on stream. So I was like, you know what, I'll find a way to add a little story in there, you know, drizzle some of that RP in there, and I think it's coming together nicely. So hopefully,
Nice.
when the end product comes out, people will enjoy it. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
It's awesome.
Yes. So that's what I've been playing. A little bit of Overwatch as well. Notorious KGM says in the chat, he's been playing World War Z, Dauntless, NBA 2K19, because, you know, it's the playoffs. And he's going to start with his backlog games as well, like Thorn has. So are these all on Steam, Urim? Notorious KGM, are these all on Steam? Cinder Stream says WoW and D3, Diablo 3. I'm hoping, and not Mighty Ducks 3. Although Mighty Ducks 3 would be awesome as well. And a bucket load of Beat Saber, because, man, Beat Saber looks so much fun. I kind of want to play
I've
it.
tried that. It's amazing. The Beat Saber is pretty. Man, the VR experience has come a long way since, you know, back when we were growing up, and, like, you know, when we had that Nintendo thing, the Virtual Boy.
Oh my
It's come a
god,
long
you got
way.
a Virtual Boy?
Nice.
Well, I mean, like, you know, the idea of it. I mean, I never have one, but like the idea of it. Like, I didn't think we'd have something that actually works. At least I'm at this age, you know.
Oh yeah.
The Beat Saber's awesome.
Oh
Still
man.
waiting for my hoverboard.
One day, sir. One day. The real hoverboard, right? Not those lame ones on wheels that people use.
Right.
The segues.
The one
That's
straight
not
out
really
of-
a hoverboard.
exactly.
Yeah, it's not a hoverboard. It's a Segway. That's right. You know, people are like, oh, check out my hoverboard. You have wheels, sir. You were touching the ground. You were physically touching the ground, sir. So, well, one day we'll get it. One day. I'm actually curious about Beat Saber, Cinder, before we move on to the next part of the show. Are you at that point where you don't even really move the rest of your body and you're just like doing the wrist movements? Because I've seen people say, like, I found the most efficient way to play Beat Saber, and it's by barely moving.
The thing is, you actually have to move, because there's because if one of the boxes hit you, like your face, your POV, it counts as a minus points or something like that. So
Oh,
you
wow.
have
Okay.
to you really have to move physically.
Okay. Is it
Sorry.
is it like simple? Is it like, can you just go, or do you have to be like, Hwah!
You
Butterfly?
kind of
twist?
have to duck, as in you have to like go down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Badass.
Wait, Harold, sorry. I have to ask.
Go,
Have you seen
go.
the guy who modded it so it's like a dual saber of Darth Maul? Oh yeah.
No.
People have done that in Beat Saber. Like some guy just modded the controllers and made it like a dual saber. Just like Darth Maul.
That's so cool. I know Ray Park played it, the guy who played Darth Maul. I know he played it a bit, so
Really?
That's cool.
maybe he played that version. I should check it out.
Maybe.
Check it out. Yeah. All right. Let's keep checking the chat real quick before we move on. Wiki Kitten said also Hearthstone. So she's also been playing Hearthstone. Have you played it on stream, Wiki Kitten? Freaking butterfly kick. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to win the fight, man. Sometimes you gotta get high ground. Sometimes you do a butterfly twist. It's relative. It's all relative. All right, just like in Alabama, it's all relative. All right, roll tide. Let's go. I think we should move on to the next part of the show. Thorn, do you have any shout outs you want to give before we delve deeper into the mind of Thornbrow?
Yeah, two quick shout outs. One to Thyst, you mentioned it briefly already, but I and we and everyone are all super crazy proud of her. She's at the Warcraft Mythic Dungeon International right now in Sydney, Australia, with the rest of the caster crew. She's sideline reporting, so you'll catch her kind of between matches. But whenever that MDI is live, she's on it. I'm grabbing as many clips and VODs as I can because I'm just so crazy proud of her.
Oh yeah, man.
Because that's just been a dream for both of us, is to work for Blizzard, and she's there doing it. So huge shout out to her, huge accomplishment. And another shout out just to the ballers out there. So the Laggin Balls fans, the show started out as a show. It started out small, as they all do, and the thing that has been the most rewarding and amazing for me throughout the whole process, throughout the whole 4 years, like you mentioned, has been the development of the community, many of which are right here in the chat. So shout out to these guys, because they're just amazing, and I couldn't love them anymore.
Dude, like it's awesome. Like joining the Ballers and being a lurker for the longest time, I was like, wow, these guys are so supportive of each other. And I wanted to get in on the action, but I was like, how to make friends as an adult? Like, how do you get in there? And sometimes you just got to dive in. Sometimes you just got to say hi, Frasley. Hi, Thorn. Notice me, Senpai. Notice me. And then and it happens.
Yeah, we didn't realize how many things that were put in place for us to socialize growing up, right? School was the natural one. Everybody goes to school. You can have a whole social network based on that. The real social network, IRL social network. And then once school is over, it's like either you knew people already, or you have old friends and you still live in the same town, or your coworkers are cool. And if they're not, then hashtag how to make friends as an adult.
Exactly. Oh man, that's so awesome. And again, I want to reiterate what you said. We're so proud of Thyst for fulfilling the dream. One day, DZ, one day maybe we'll get our shot. But right now, we got to give our props to Thyst for actually being in Australia right now, fighting jet lag, and being in front of the camera, and just doing it head on. Super awesome. Oh man, all right. So, Wicked Kit in the chat says school was terrible. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, for me personally, it wasn't great, but we gotta power through that. All right, now it's time to learn more about the man behind the brow. Let's talk to Thorn. And actually, DZ, do you have any shoutouts to give before I play the soundbite? I want to make sure we get it all done.
I was asking Notorious in chat, because Notorious is a really, really good friend of Mick, our other host. So I was asking him, Urim, is Mick asleep? And then he's like, I don't know. I actually woke up early morning just to watch you guys because Mick told me about it.
What a bro!
So,
that's so Mick though. He's not gonna be able to make it, so he sends someone else and be like, watch, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, he tells everyone about it. He's like the best PR guy.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say the best, but he's good. He's great.
What time is it for you guys there?
Right now it's 10 a.m. We're 12 hours ahead of you, so
okay.
Turn the PM to the AM, and future looks great.
Great.
All right, let's get to it. Let's find out more about Thorn, and we talk about people and all of that when we don't have them on. So might as well transition now. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Inn, friend.
Yes, and the Inn is brought to you by the Quit Stalling Geekcast. Check it out. It's on Spotify right now. Me and Sensei Humor just had an episode yesterday, but you can catch us live every week, Friday mornings here in Manila, 11 a.m., and of course, 6 p.m. Thursday nights Pacific. Or if you're Eastern, like we said, just flip the time around, make the AMs to the PM, so that's 11 p.m. Eastern. All right, let's find out a little bit more about our special guest for today, Thorn. Let's change the music up. And let's bring you into the tavern. Let's bring you into the inn, Thorn. Let's find out more about you. Oh my word! This is Thorn. For those of you uninitiated into the baller sanctum, this man is a Hufflepuff. I will get it right, Hufflepuff. He is Creed's #1 fan, and he also found Anthem fun. All right, so let's.
I think the show's over. I don't know if there's anything more to say. You just summed me up so well.
Oh man, Thor, how you doing, man? How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's since I'm behind you guys, it's my Saturday night right now, and I'm having a great time. So again, thanks for having me on.
Oof, man, we're so glad you're having a great time because it's better than not having a great time. No, because it's your Saturday night, and people go out on Saturday nights, and I'm glad you chose to spend it with us, and super thankful for that.
Thanks.
Again, I want to congratulate you and Thyst and Laggin Balls and the whole baller community on your 4th year anniversry. That's
Thank you so much.
That's ridiculous.
Kind of snuck up on us. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we were trying to do for our 100th anniversary, we did a 24-hour stream a couple years ago,
man.
And we were trying to do that again for the 4-year stream, but it snuck up on us, and it was right around when I was moving, and just too much all at once, and then I got sick on top of it, so we were still planning on kind of just trying to push through with it, and we were going to do it with a long weekend last weekend, because it was a 3-day weekend in the US, and we just couldn't make it happen. I was coughing and hacking, and That's a lot of coughing and hacking for 24 hours.
Man.
That's true. How are you feeling now, though?
Fine now. Oh yeah, thank you so much. I am actually having a really great time doing this, because this is my background as well. So this sort of thing is a really good time, especially with great co-hosts like yourselves. So thanks for that. And I also did a little bit of my own recreating earlier today. I went to the mall and I bummed around there and just didn't actually buy anything, just kind of bummed around a bunch. And then I found the Nerf McCree gun in GameStop and narrowly avoided buying it for now. That won't last, I promise. But and then I saw X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Oh, okay. I want to get into that in the after show because it's GameByte. We gotta talk about gaming and yourself, but
Dark
I want to talk about that during the after show. I want to make it a point to mention it on stream so people can call it out during the after show. I want to know what you thought about Dark Phoenix. But right now, Thorn, 4 years on, I want to get the story on how you guys started. How did Lagging Balls start?
Oh, sure. So Thyst and I had been talking about it for probably as long as we've been podcasting now. Ahead of that, we had been talking about doing it because we were both just really big fans of Blizzard-related podcasts and mostly Warcraft-related podcasts, and just always thought how fun it would be to contribute to that, be a part of that whole family, and create a little something of our own. And then we finally did it. Honestly, it was just a matter of the funny thing about it is I was about to start a different show about Heroes of the Storm with some other friends. And I think part of that was the impetus for us to start our own, because I was just all right, well, I'm doing it. And this was all right, if you're going to start doing that, let's start doing this. And that show ended up having one episode and dying. And then this show is the one that went on for 4 years. So.
Oh man, shout out to your co-hosts on that other show.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome though. So, and you guys have found a slice of success on the internet. You guys have built an amazing community so far. And how did you guys go about keeping that keeping that momentum going, because like you mentioned, a lot of podcasts, they kind of die after the first episode, if they even get there. So how did you guys manage to keep going for this long?
It was really kind of just a really strong duo between Thyst and I. When it comes to anything that you're trying to do on a long-term basis, like the longevity gets hard, the repetitiveness gets hard, and repetitiveness is what I mean by that is the process, right? So you guys know, because you are also content creators. The people who are in chat here who are also content creators are familiar with this. People who are not are a little less familiar with it, and that's not a problem. It's just a matter of perspective, right? So there's a large time commitment that goes into all of this. There are the graphics and the keeping the community going, and creating scripting and videos and OBS setups and like all these things that are a part of it. And when you add it all up, it's a ton of time. So that stuff can get taxing, and especially when you're new and you have very few viewers and very little interaction with them yet, because that takes time to ramp up. So it can get to the point where it's like, is anybody out there? Is anybody listening? Does anybody care? Or are we just throwing this out into the ether for nothing? And so I think one of the best things looking back on 4 years of this was, if either one of us ever wavered, the other one was all in on bringing us back on track. And that duo was really the driving factor in the success of the show, I'd say.
That's awesome. That partnership, that core partnership kept you guys going.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, me and DZ don't know anything about that. It's just a drag every time. We're at that point where work is just work now.
Isn't this episode 96?
It is actually. Yeah.
That's a long time. Congratulations to you guys as well. 96 is 4 away from 100.
Thank you.
We call this episode 96, but prior to that, we had like the whole alphabet of test shows.
Yeah, the GameByte spun off of the other podcast, the Kutzline Geekcast, and that had like test episode A to Z, and then it's crazy, but we'll get to that later, because today is about you, Thorn. I want to ask the questions that I don't get to ask you, because F and titties is super early in the morning for us on a Saturday, so it's like but
clarify what that is.
Oh, sorry. Friday nights with Thyst and Thorn. That's a good point.
FTT, Friday nights with Thyst and Thorn. Yeah, it's an acronym.
It's an acronym, and it used to be called the Laggin Balls stream, and people were getting that confused with Laggin Balls podcast, so you guys changed the name. I want to talk about that. So, what did it feel awkward to have people confused, and you were finally like, let's change it? Or was it just like, we might as well clarify things? How did that whole thing go? Was it no big deal? Yeah.
It was fine. It took a little while for us to just change over the nomenclature on our own side. We kept calling it the LB stream because we had been for however many episodes before that. So it just took a little while to get used to it. It was not that big a deal. And the reality of it is, when that is the show that's just once a week, and it's kind of related to whatever and not on the same guidelines. In fact, we try to avoid gaming on that show so that we don't use up material that would be on the podcast instead. That's really where people, I think, were starting to get confused, and we really did it for that brand differentiation between the two products, if you will. Because if people are confusing the podcast and the stream, and they tune into the stream expecting to hear about Blizzard games, and then they hear nothing at all about any games of any type, then that's going to be confusing and possibly a letdown. So it's really just more of a comedy stream where we just talk about good God, who knows.
And your interaction with the chat is pretty good as well. I really enjoy that.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. So I want to get into this because obviously, Mr. Brow is your father, and Thorn is your given name. So we got to start with the sitters, right? We got to start with all the easy stuff. How did you come up with the moniker of Thornbrow, or how did your name come about?
My first main in Warcraft was a Blood Elf warlock, and his name was Thornbrow based on exactly how he looked. I kept trying all these names. None of them were working. They were all taken. I was trying to take like pop culture names and like sci-fi or fantasy character names and things like that. And by the time I got into Warcraft, everything was taken. So I was just like, all right, let me just go with like something that is based in how this guy looks. And they have these eyebrows that are like antenna that come way out. And I was like, oh, I guess it kind of looks like a thorn. Let's call him Thornbrow. And that wasn't taken, and that's where it came from.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Looks like a praying mantis, so we'll just call him.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's call him Thornbrow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And then when I started to when we started the Blood of the Scribe Guild at the end of 2008, I was the kind of co-founder of the whole thing, and then I eventually took over as GM. And I made all of my characters start with the word Thorn, so that just everybody would know when I was on. Yeah. Kind of no matter what character.
That's awesome. Yeah, because back then you didn't have add-ons that would put your
right.
get like the name you preferred before the text and everything. Yeah. Oh man, and you mentioned earlier on how you got into Blizzard games, but I wanted to re-clarify that. You mentioned that a friend or friends got you in it because they were talking about it nonstop.
Yeah, 2 different sets of friends actually. A set of friends who were in Alliance and a set of friends who were in Horde. And anybody who listens to our show knows that we are 100% Horde only. So you can tell which group of friends I continued on with and which.
The others just, you lost contact with them. You can't speak the same language. So. Yeah,
no, they're dead to me.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Sorry, convert to raid. All right.
It was kind of the perfect storm. The place I was living at the time, my downstairs neighbor, who was also the like on-site maintenance guy for the apartment building, he and his wife and his teenage daughter all played Warcraft as well. They were all Horde, and so I would go over there and hang out, and they just like would be sitting in their little LAN setup. It was like one bedroom was devoted to the gaming center. Wow. And like it was like the geekdom dream, right? It's like the mother's station, the father's station, and then opposite them back to back was the daughter's station, and they all had these like hutches where it was like a desk with like a cover on it kind of thing, and all of their like computers were in on the desk in there, like covered with like collectibles and stuff like that. So each of them had their own little space, but they all played together, and I just thought that was the coolest thing.
It really is. That sounds amazing. And you ended up having a little Thorn station next to her. So you're like, oh yeah, let's see some 5-mans.
Not quite.
Oh man, DZ man, do you have any questions for Thorn while we're rolling?
Yeah, like you pointed out, like we've mentioned that this is you're in your 4th year. Have you ever like working on the graphics for the show or working on the content? Have you ever like decided, I'm gonna look at my very first episode or my like early episodes?
Oh god.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever looked back, like way back, and like how things have changed over that time?
Sure. Here and there, I'll just click play on one of the very old ones just for kind of shits and giggles. But I have not. But Thyst recently went back and listened to our very first episode, and she said she could only get like 10 minutes in before she was too disgusted with herself and turned it off. So we keep kicking around the idea of maybe doing a show where we listen to it or play it on the show and react to how bad we were, because that's an idea that's completely stolen from Smodcast, the Kevin Smith podcast, because they did that on their show. I forget how far in, but they went and they played audio footage from the very first episode, and they basically just like made fun of themselves mercilessly.
Oh man. Oh, I gotta catch that. I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan in terms of Fat Man Beyond.
Nice.
I haven't had the time to catch his other podcasts so much, but man, that sounds like a fun thing. I should check that out.
Yeah, Smodcast was yep, exactly. Smodcast was a deep influence on us. For our show.
Yeah, you could tell. You could really tell.
Yeah, with how crass it is for sure.
Oh man, that's great. And Kevin Smith's style is so great because it's so relaxed, but at the same time he gets stuff done. He gets to talk about the things he wants to talk about.
Right. Yeah.
He makes rambling sound great. So
yep,
I love it.
He's amazing at it.
Oh man. So you mentioned recently getting back into video games and how you actually got into Blizzard games and all the whole catalog of Blizzard games. I wanted to ask, was role playing and gaming part of your life growing up? Were video games there from you from the beginning? Was there D&D there?
Sure. It was here and there. Video games were quite a bit from the time of the original Nintendo, the original NES system when I was a kid, and I wouldn't say I was any sort of power player. I struggled a lot early on. I was a little young for that. I was born in '81, so I forget when the hell the NES came out, but I was not that old, and I wasn't very good at any of them. So, it was something that was kind of mine and that I really enjoyed, even though I wasn't getting that far in the games, and that I just became pretty obsessed with. And I think that might have been one of the reasons why my parents tried to steer me away from that a little bit, because as a smart parent and a responsible parent does, they look at things that are kind of keeping you away from the things that might be a little more important, or things that you're starting to obsess about. And I know that came from a good place. There are plenty of people now who I have guys at work or contacts in the professional world who are unrelated to the gaming industry who will say things like, "Oh man, yeah, I can't tear my son away from that Fortnite.
Oh.
Like, he's really good at it, but I really am trying to get him away from the computer or from the computer console or whatever." And I said, well, now the conversation has become, well, how good is he? Does he need an agent?
Yes. Oh, does he?
How good is he? How good are we talking here? So
does he dance
the
on
world's
people,
changing.
or is he more of like a runner? Does he?
Yeah, but I mean, times are changing now. Now it's a kind of a viable thing. So yeah, so from back from the NES days, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Nintendo 64, and then I fell out of it for a while, somewhere around there, and then didn't get back in until the Wii.
Oh, okay.
And that's the same time when I started PC gaming as well.
Dude, that's a pretty long gap.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's why I placed so low in Overwatch to begin with. Is I literally hadn't played an FPS since GoldenEye 007.
Oh man, the best.
Yeah, Thorn was like, "Oh, what? I'm pointing my camera left, but it's going left. I'm not. What is this? I'm looking up, and it's going up. Huh? What?
When you're aiming, it's just zooming in the camera, but it's not aiming down. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so good.
Since we mentioned kids and their parents, parental gaming and whatnot. Actually, this goes for both of you because it just gave me an idea. All right, so we grew up in the age where when we had parents who wouldn't let us play games as much as we could, right? And so we kind of know how to gauge too much and not enough, right? So let's say it comes to a point where you have kids and they start getting into gaming. How would you guys handle their gaming habits? Would you be like, yeah, just play all you want, or will you be like, I know what it's like to be there, and I'll limit that? How would you guys handle it?
Thorn, you want to take this one first?
Sure. I get it. There's I would be somewhere between the Olympic parent who realizes their kid is really good at slalom skiing or whatever the hell, and throws them fully throws them fully into an Olympic trainer to hone their skills and make them an Olympic gold medalist. Somewhere between that and the parent who just thinks games are a waste of time and actively steers their kid away from it. I would be somewhere firmly in the middle of that, trying to enable the habit and make sure that it's something that they're not only enjoying but also kind of ascertain their skill level a little bit. So if it turns out that they're actually really good at this stuff, I'd want to help facilitate that. And if they're not and they just have a great time with it, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I would probably just keep doing the thing that you do to herd them a little bit towards some of the fundamental educational stuff to make sure that they're getting that background as well.
That is such a good answer, and oh man, can I say the same thing? Can I copy that? Or
it's okay to say.
No, I want. Okay, real me would want to do that, but knowing me, I think I think I might end up just being like, hey, all right, get off the computer. Do you want to end up like me? Just being a podcaster talking about games?
Your Filipino mother coming out?
Is this what you want to be? Oh my god. No, but that's such a great, all jokes aside, that's such a great point of view to have, Thorn. And I think that's the
it's easy to talk about in a vacuum, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then you actually get the personality of the kid, and you're like, wow, he takes so much after his uncle.
Oh, this kid's awkward as hell. Damn, is he good at Fortnite?
How do I get him on stage? He doesn't want to leave his room.
Yeah, what is that? What are those shows where like the parents are like they're like parents of like kids who do like beauty pageants or like
Oh yeah,
dance competition.
Oh.
The stage mom shows.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a stage mom for my gamer kid.
You're there in the Blizzard Arena. Go, son! Go, son!
Yeah,
That's my boy. That's my boy.
they'll be in like fighting games or something like that, and I'll have them like running trials of like how to do the proper Hadouken on command.
Man,
That's what I'm talking. That's the education my kids are gonna get.
I would root for your son, or daughter. Like I would root for your kid just based on your parenting style. I'd be like, see, that's a parent I could relate to. All right, that's.
They're gonna have like gaming mottos, like they're gonna hate gaming, right? Because they're gonna be like, you know, like those kids who like grow up in the shadow of their parents, who was like their father was like a high school football star or whatever, and there's great expectations that little Johnny's gonna grow up to become Johnny Football because his dad couldn't or whatever. So he's got footballs all around his like bedroom, and like his bed is shaped like you know, like the full field and things like that. And when they wake up in the morning, they only eat Wheaties, and like, you know, it's like one of those like super overbearing parent situations with like these crazy expectations. That's gonna be and you know, they'll wake up in the morning to the sounds of me going, "What's the greatest video game code ever created? Now, go!" They're like, up, down, left, right.
Oh man!
And then he goes to his friends and he's just like, "Man, my dad's really riding me hard today. I just want to act, man. I just want to keep doing my Instagram stories and just act all day, because that's the future. That's
Right.
Oh man, that's crazy. Oh, and believable. Actually, now that I think about it, you should really do a web series about that. You know, growing up, Brow. Yeah, like. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, I got. DZ, take over. I'm kind of just imagining that right now. Could you
I'm gonna go check on whether the URL for growing up Brow is available.
While you're all doing that, I guess my thoughts on it, same. Like, oh well, actually, damn, I don't know. I've been in that situation where like, I know the effects of too much gaming. But I think I know how great it is and what relationships you can establish because of gaming and all that. So, you know, I've met my friends through gaming, and my boss is like giving me the thumbs down for giving that answer. Okay, so yeah, like
You're not allowed to be judged while you're on air and not at work.
that's right.
It's a weekend.
And I deserve a raise, Migs. Anyway, so I guess at that point, when it ever do comes, I wouldn't want him to do it. I wouldn't want my son or daughter to play like as soon as they're born. I give it a few years, because like, you know how kids now, they're always on their tablets, they're always on their phones, like a babysitter for them already.
Oh, okay. At first, I was like, "Wow, you're really gonna shove an iPhone in front of a baby?"
When they're toddlers, come on, like that. I mean, at that age, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I wouldn't want that. I want I'd kind of look back at the time that I or my brother started playing. You know, like when they're a bit older, maybe like 8 or 10 years old, when at least they know, they're conscious enough to make good judgments, and that, okay, I gotta study, then I can play. I would impose rules like that. Just make sure you're passing in school and you can play.
Yeah.
Don't stay up too late.
Man.
Kind of practical.
C's get degrees.
C's get degree.
Hey,
I've never heard of that. I like that.
C's
though.
get degrees. I like that. Yeah, that's right. The other thing would be like, let's say, a crazy situation is like, me and my brother, when we would try to, you know, sneak around my mother's back, and she'd tell us not to play past 9 o'clock. Okay, so we'd, but luckily the consoles were in our room, so we'd put the volume really low, and we just lock the door and like cover the crack of our door so that the light doesn't peer through it. So we'd save up, like we really save up our own money to buy these consoles, and I don't think our mother like minded, or like, if ever she did find out we would buy it, she'd still impose that just don't. She didn't like get how it worked or whatnot, so we just said just don't play it too much, like 1 hour a day. That's all. Like 1 hour, Jesus Christ. So anyway, if my son like decided to save up and buy his own console with his own money, I would reward that because in the future, I mean, when we get to this age, at least they'll know the value of saving up for something.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 So those kind of things, like I wouldn't, I'd limit it, but I wouldn't impose too many rules on it.
Oh yeah. That's
What's that? Is it neural net? Is that the thing that they're talking about where they're going to like meld computers with your brain?
What?
You guys heard of this?
no.
No.
But I'm interested.
Neural net. Okay, I'm gonna blow your mind for a second here.
Go,
They're
go.
actually working on a computer-esque type thing that is some sort of mesh that literally goes inside your skull, around your brain, and somehow fuses like your brain to technology in some fashion. It's still kind of theoretical right now, but they're working on it. I believe it's called neural net. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But the idea is that you'll be able to, in essence, like control a computer or interact with a computer by thinking or whatever, something like that. So like super futuristic stuff. Right?
It's like Black
And,
Mirror
like,
stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
So
man.
like because then the questions start with like, can you be hacked and all that, whatever. So the point is like,
Oh my God! No.
well,
Oh,
by the time
no.
this stuff happens, or maybe it'll be like, that sounds like the kind of thing that's like kind of pretty far off yet. So maybe it's like
Yeah.
not our kids, but like our grandchildren or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have those things and they'll be playing whether you realize it or not.
Freaking biohackers. Yeah, dude, that's crazy. That's
The future is
crazy.
here.
That's so scary.
It's
And
coming.
yeah, you bring up a good point. Like, will you be able to get hacked? That's such a scary thought. Especially,
Well, that's
you know,
the
you mentioned
Black Mirror part.
grandkids. Yeah, right. Like you mentioned grandkids. Like you don't want that to happen to your grandkids.
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it's a terrifying thought, but it sounds like the same thing that they would do for prosthetic limbs, because we're advancing quite well in that, and like neural networking so that you can control your prosthetic limbs as if like someone who's been amputated would feel a ghost limb. That sounds kind of similar and interesting, and I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole thinking about it throughout the show. But man, that's pretty cool. Interfacing with a computer, that's like oh man, easy.
It's scary to think about. I mean, we always go back to Terminator, but that's like kind of beyond that already.
Yeah.
We always go back to Skynet, but that's okay. That's kind of beyond Skynet, where you're like the implanting and what. I'm sure there's a movie there somewhere that does that, but
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. Urim, Notorious KGM in the chat says so many accidents waiting to happen. Oh no. You gotta call the week, man. You got. All right,
one way to
moving
put
on.
You guys see Ready Player One?
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
That could, man. What did you think of Ready Player One? Because DZ loved it.
My God.
I
Yeah,
enjoyed it quite a lot. But people in the books were like, no, it's not like the books. But how did you find it, Thorn?
I thankfully had not read the books, so there was nothing to spoil for me. And I just loved the nostalgia of it all. And they went pretty hard on all of that. But I get it. And like Spielberg has been such a big part of all of our childhoods with all those classics. So to pull from those, like I can be mad at that. And then seeing like Blizzard game characters like Tracer running in there with all the other people, I was just like, that is amazing. What a world! I want to be there.
The Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles,
exactly.
the Spartans from Halo.
Yes.
Like you
The
like what?
Iron Giant.
Yeah, Iron Giant. Oh my God, Thorn, you have to listen to the audiobook. I listened to it like 3 times already.
Okay.
That's to be fair, that's the only book I ever listened to.
Okay, fair. I'm gonna add it to my wish list.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I love Ready Player One.
Awesome. Who does the VO? Is it what's his name from Star Trek? Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think I should listen to that too. I'm looking for audiobooks as well. When I'm not listening to Lagging Balls or Convert to Raid Presents the Battlenet News, I like to partake in some audiobooks. So I would definitely check out Will Wheaton after Lagging Balls. Yeah, after Lagging Balls. Lagging Balls.
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton. All right. Thorn. We're talking a lot about pop culture now and seeing things on the silver screen. And, with that comes the new age of consuming media like Netflix and, TV shows being on the internet now. So they're not really TV shows, but web shows. being a fan of the Warcraft universe and the Blizzard universe in general, I wanted to ask you, how would you like to see in your mind, a proper adaptation of Warcraft? Because, the movie was great visually, but the story kind of lacked, because from what we heard, Lionsgate had their fingers and everything, and they were messing with stuff too much. In your mind, I wanted to pick your brain a bit. Would you want it, first of all, as a TV show? Would you, like, a la Game of Thrones, a la HBO, where it's, like, chopped up into seasons and series and short episodes? Long episodes, but, short orders, short seasons. Would you like it online like Netflix, or would you rather, see it on the silver screen?
I think that I would like to see a series by somebody like Netflix long term, so that they could start the story from a narrative perspective in a place that makes more sense, that is going to go as far back or whatever, or start in a place that makes sense narratively to begin a story that is appealing both to people who are brand new to it and also people who are fans. And that's the big struggle, right? Is trying to take something that is so niche and first of all find a starting point. It's a big challenge, and then appeal to both of those groups. And I think we were all hoping that those of us who were familiar with the lore and things like that would get thrown more of a bone than a murloc on the side in a passing scene transition. And there was a lot of that, so don't get me wrong. I just mean your point about the story being lacking. The story was very lacking. I feel like instead of appealing to both sets of people, they appealed to none of the above. And it was kind of like, and I'm being extra harsh because I saw it like 4 times myself, right? So it's like I'm one of the exceptions or whatever, but it's a tough thing to do. So I would love to see a series, and I would love to see it done by somebody like HBO, who's going to put like the right amount of money against it. And then if it's being successful, put even more money and resources against it. I wouldn't mind seeing something by Netflix, because their production quality is super high, and they put a lot into things. And I love, obviously, having the whole season of something available right away. Yeah. And then I would, like, I'm going to have my cake and eat it too in this fictional scenario. So I would also love to see on the silver screen one-off standalone stories that would make sense as a movie. So like, maybe some of the huge interactions with like some of the big world bosses, or some of the big bosses that were the end of expansions. There's a great story leading up to that, and then there's the big fight with that boss. So maybe that would be a good for something like a movie.
Oh man, that's such a good way to set it up too. Have the smaller stuff online, and then build it up and be like, hey, you can catch Marvel's Avengers coming up this summer on the silver screen. Oh, that's such a good way to put it. So you kind of led into it a little bit now. I wanted to ask you next, do you have a storyline in mind that you think would fit well in your theoretical Netflix scenario or your HBO scenario, whether it be something big like the Arthas storyline, or something that you want to see but hasn't been told yet, like the band of adventurers that are looking for the Scythe of Elune or something like that. Like, have you thought about this on your own time?
I have actually a little bit, and you actually kind of already nailed it. It would be the story of Arthas leading into the Lich King and the entirety of the events throughout the Wrath of Lich King. And I love that the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, has done in visual media what they've done in print media, which in comic books has always been to have a long tail story that's playing the long game in a big way. There's a story arc that has started years, sometimes decades earlier, and they've been building toward these things, and then the storyline comes to fruition or an apex, and then splits off in these other directions or whatever, and it involves, maybe the story is being driven along by one of these heroes at one point, and then it's they kind of cut to another timeline in a completely different book with a different hero altogether, and then they're being influenced by this, or they're contributing to it or whatever, maybe oftentimes without knowing it. And then you get to the denouement, right? Like the big payoff where the hero groups are all coming together, whether in co-op or in conflict, and they're driving that story toward its finish. And then there's this zenith, this big finish of the full payoff of that whole storyline that has now involved all of these different books and all these different heroes. In this case, all these different shows. They had things like the Avengers movies, but then they brought out like the Avengers TV show, right? Or the... what was it called?
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Thank you, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and every one of the TV shows that came out as part of this have had some role in the overall universe. They're not necessary, just like with the comic books. You could go get the trade comic book to get the overall story without having to keep up with all the different hero books. But if you wanted to dive in and know all of the background, you'd have to get, issues 162 to 248 of Spider-Man. And you have to get, issues with this and this for all these different books to get the full story all the way around.
Yes.
And so I love that they translated that old comic book way of doing things into the visual world, the broadcast world. And so I would love to see that from in this scenario with the Lich King story. I'd love to see, a Warcraft TV show that is like maybe following the beginnings of Arthas and the plague and the culling and all that stuff, and his transition over from Arthas into the Lich King. And then I'd love to see a feature film of like ICZ, basically.
Oh, damn, the Ice Crown Raid as a film? Oof.
Yeah.
All right, ElderDjinn in the chat brought up a good point. Would you want to see this CGI? Would you want to see this hand-drawn, animated, or do you want it live action, like in your head, ideally?
I would say CGI.
You would want it.
The reason I would say CGI, so to me, one of the biggest problems with, and I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm going to give my opinion on this a little bit in a very generic way. So no spoilers, but I'm also referring a little bit to having just seen X-Men Dark Phoenix earlier today. Okay. I feel like, and this is also a throwback to what you said about the Warcraft movie. When it comes to the film industry needs to make money, and the best way for them to do that is to appeal to the largest audience that they can. And in doing so, they get a lot of things wrong. They take the stories in a lot of directions they should never have. They involve a lot of people who never should have been involved. I'm going to give you a key indicator about how badly this can go. Dumbledore from the Harry Potter movies. That is one of the key examples of how badly this can go when you cast things incorrectly and completely ruin a very key character in a long-standing story that is pivotal to moving that thing forward. Okay. So if it's CGI, they have the luxury of maybe doing things like celebrity voices if they want to appeal to people and bring more people in without having to be stuck with that, right? So if you look at something like the Warcraft movie is a good example as well. I wouldn't say they did a terrible job of it, but they cast some people who just didn't. You could tell they didn't get it. They don't understand the source material. Maybe they don't care, and I think that's fair. They're hired to do a job in particular, and not everybody's going to be a super fan like we'd love them to, right? We love this stuff, so we only want it represented by the people who are like massive fans like we are, right? But that's just not reality. The reality of it is you have to have star power to appeal to an audience, and that's where the clash comes in between the source material and Hollywood needing to do what's best for box office.
Oh man, that's so true. So you went into Dumbledore a little bit, and I want to, for those of us who aren't as into the Harry Potter scene, the behind the scenes of the Harry Potter films, what was the issue there? What was the little controversy there when it came to Dumbledore's story and his acting and the casting? I think is what you mentioned.
Depending on who you talk to, maybe nothing, but for a lot of us who read the books. Again, this goes back to your question about Ready Player One. I never read the book, so there was nothing to ruin for me when I saw the film. So I had a good time with it, and whatever. It was just it was a grand old time, and now I'll go back and read the books. But when it comes to something like the Harry Potter books, there was a huge following, obviously. There was a huge overall story, and there were people who in the story, characters I should say, who were in the story, who were extremely pivotal to how the story moves along. And when you're talking about a story that's driven by a child growing up in a unusual scenario and learning from the things around him and the people around him, and then developing into the person that he's going to be at the end of the series, those influences are extremely important. And to cast someone like, I forget the guy's name because I kind of hate his guts, but to cast the guy that they did as Dumbledore, the original one was
the first one
fairly fine, right?
Oh, the second one. After he passed.
Richard Harris, I think, was the name of the original actor playing Dumbledore. I want to say he was in the first two movies, maybe even just the first one. I can't remember exactly. And And then the other guy who took over, just like he did things with the character that are against the very nature of the character itself. So not only did he like miss the mark, he actively took it in another direction. And I think, personally, I think that is not only a failing of the actor, I think that's a failing of the direction. And I feel like that's, if there's one thing that I can criticize J.K. Rowling about in this world, it was her not speaking up about how he was being portrayed, because that is a huge thing. And she, of all people, knows, how he was supposed to be portrayed. So without going too deep into any of it, like for those of you who are not familiar with the storyline and whatever and don't really care, the reality of it is you have somebody super influential and super important and kind of central to a storyline, and you miscast it, then let that different approach and that different take on the character come through, then you're fundamentally changing the storyline. And that's a much bigger deal than I think they realized at the time. And of course, hindsight is 2020. It's really easy for me to sit back and judge, right? I didn't have to do it. But then I read interviews later on with the guy who said he never bothered to read the source material and, just kind of showed up for the job. And, whatever. To each their own. Yeah. But yeah.
It would have been better if he just kept his mouth shut. Yeah, like, just don't tell us. Like, at least we don't criticize you for it. But, like, man. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. And, I like how you mentioned the directing, and because I think a lot of those movies, if not all of them, change helm. They change the directors every film because they didn't really lock down anyone for it. And I guess that shows in that aspect.
Yeah, Chris Columbus of Home Alone fame directed a couple of movies.
Yeah, and he discovered America. So, there's a... There's a lot there.
And that's I do want to say one thing about the films. They are visually stunning. And there's a lot that they got right about the movies as well. I am not somebody who just hates on the movies outright. I watch them from time to time. That's not really the thing. I just hate that character so much in the movies. And it's just he's so important in the books. And the way that he's portrayed in the books is so important and so influential, and for them to get that wrong in the films just makes me nuts. And that thinking is not originally my idea. That was actually Thyst's idea, because we talked about this extensively at the beginning of our relationship. Like when we first got to know each other and first became friends, she was actually part of the Warcraft guild. So when we first got together and started talking about all kinds of things all the time, and she turned me on to Harry Potter to begin with, I said, I'm going to watch the movies after I finish the books. And she's just like, eh. I was like, okay, I've never seen any of them. What's the problem? And that was her problem with it. And she didn't tell me until after I got to see them all, so that, she wouldn't influence. But, I got to agree. It was rough.
All right. So DZ and Thorn, I want to ask you guys, since we're on this topic, should a live action adaptation or a CGI adaptation, an adaptation, be changed so much, like it does get changed in Hollywood? When we see films adapted, whether it be Harry Potter, whether it be the Avengers. I mean, the MCU are kind of the exception so far, right? Where the changes have kind of worked in the favor because it's all coming from someone's mind like Kevin Feige. But, if you look at other source material versus their adaptation, whether it be film or TV, usually they change certain things that kind of take you out of the experience. And do you think that's what's going to happen if they do kind of, do what we want with Warcraft? Do you think they can actually pull it off without changing a little bit to work well for the smaller screens or the silver screen, or for the movie screen? Is there a way for them to get those stories up without changing anything at all?
Well, honestly, for me, if you're gonna change something, I guess, because it's like with the Warcraft movie, you can't compress a trilogy like Warcraft 1, 2, 3 into just 1 hour and 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And they had to make, and for any video game or comic book thing, you can't compress all that information into just 1 hour 30 minutes. There's so much stuff lost, right?
Yeah.
Especially with how, the arcs for those different medias work differently. The progression of story, the development, it works so differently. I think it's okay if they're gonna make changes, as long as you think you consider that you want to make a good film, what constitutes to a good film? Good writing, good character casting, good portrayal, good direction. Those things. It's okay to change the story. I mean, like Marvel. I mean, I know Marvel's the exception, but that's what they did. They changed some of the stories, and they just, I mean, by just calling it a different universe, they made it. It's considered okay. But like even then, it's okay that they made those changes because they prioritized making a good film.
Yeah.
They made a good story. They read it. It was written well. So with that in mind, that's fine. That for me,
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah.
How
How
about
about
you,
you, Thorn? What do you think? What do you think?
I don't think it's possible to make it without changing things. There's
Mm-hmm.
the rating is completely different for the different channels, right? Like you,
Yes.
information is given out in such a slower, more separated fashion for a game because you're moving things through at your own pace and all that sort of thing, right? And like you might abandon the main story for all this side questing and whatever, and kind of come back to it, and like that dictates your experience, right? Like that's how you experience it, and that's how
For real.
it is. That's how it becomes a part of I guess your overall experience. Whereas in a broadcast, in a narrative point of view, they're choosing how to formulate and present the story for you. And I just think there's a fundamental difference between those two. So I think you absolutely have to change things. And I think that's the hardest part, is everybody who has familiarity with, the base information for any of these fandoms. It's extremely difficult to capture that passion and that love for it, because you're going to have to change things. And that's just supremely difficult to do.
I have to agree. Oh man, as much as we want to think that okay, you can just chop it up and put it on TV, it doesn't really work that way. There has to be some cohesiveness in the amount of time that you tell the story, and sometimes you got to move things, sometimes you got to change things completely. And man, I just want him to do it right. I just want. There's got to be some way to please us.
Think about how complicated that is, right? So if you take the narrative of Warcraft lore, what is the place where that's the purest? Is it in the video games? Is it in the novels and books that they've written about it? Is it the movie? Is it the order of the expansions within World of Warcraft? Like, how do you determine what the narrative chronological order is? Because if you search right now on Google for the World of Warcraft lore novels in order, you'll get 5, 6, 7 different lists, because they're not really sure. Is it the order that each of the books came out? Is it the chronological order? What is the way in which we're telling the story? And then when you get into the games and try and look at it from that perspective, they have so many different ways that they've gone back in time, or to a different reality, or to a different dimension, or whatever, right? Like they're all over the damn place. So it's like, I don't know how you wrangle that and put it into a narrative order that makes sense.
That's true. And even if you go through World of Warcraft right now, it doesn't make sense, because you come into Cataclysm, you travel back in time to the Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King, then you go back to Cataclysm, and then you go to Mists. Like like that's such a good point. Even in the game itself right now, there's no clear order. So man, you do have a lot to do if you adapt it, and maybe that's why it's so scary for a lot of these companies to try.
And that's why I think the CGI way has to be the CGI, or even animated, has to be the way.
Yeah. Love, Death, and Robots has shown us that it's possible, so we got to do it.
That is a cool series.
Oh yeah.
Heck yes. Heck yes. All right. So Thorn, let me change the music up just slightly. Let me change it up just a little
Leaving
bit.
the inn.
Yeah,
we're finished drinking. We're moving on to.
We're leaving this in, and we're traveling into another, because this segment I want to start calling is called "The Internet is a Safe Place," and this is a part of the show where we dive deep into your social media history and pull up a couple of photos, and then you tell us the story. Because every show does this now, so why shouldn't we? All right. So,
Oh my God. Okay.
So let's do this. I want to start off with a common love that we have, and that's for the man known as Silent Bob. All right, let's go into this photo, because man, I saw this and I was like, this is you and Thyst cosplaying or dressed up as Kevin Smith as Silent Bob, And Jason Mewes is there as well. So, tell us about this. Tell us about the story behind this shot.
Okay. So we live in New Jersey. Kevin Smith is from New Jersey. He has a comic book shop. If you didn't know this about Kevin Smith, he has a comic book shop in Red Bank, New Jersey, which is not that far from where I live. And a while back, it was either last year or the year before, I forget, he was trying to do a Guinness Book of World Records record, as it were, for the most people cosplaying as Jay and Silent Bob all in one place at the same time. So these photos are from that. Thyst and I both went. We realized that like neither one of us really looks like Jay, so we both went dressed as Silent Bob. And I gotta say, she looks way better than I do. But they were really good about like going through the lines and like making sure that they got a photo up with like every single last person there. It was really cool of them, like for how busy they were. And they were actually shooting footage for the show, the Comic Book Men TV show on AMC. Yeah. They were shooting footage for that inside the store. Outside, they had this huge crowd of people and an official from the Guinness Book of World Records, which if you don't know how that stuff works, I'm sure most people have heard of the Guinness Book of World Records. It's just weird, crazy records of things. Yeah. Like most people to balance a cup on one finger or whatever at the same time. It's all weird shit like that.
It is really weird. The craziest things ever.
And we used to love them as kids, right? Because you'd have the library time or whatever, and they'd like, find a book and spend time with it. It's like, okay, get us a book. Let's talk about how many people can pee at all at once.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's exactly what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we heard that this was happening and it was near us, we were like, we have to go. So we went, and then our reward, as it were, was to actually meet these guys. I mean, and they were just awesome. So.
Oh man, that's great. That's such a good story. And man, don't sell yourself short, Thorn. You look like an amazing Silent Bob. All right? Don't sell yourself short. All right. Let's move on to the next photo here. This is you next to the main shaft, and I think there's not much to go on here. So I'd love for you to explain this for those listening to the audio-only version of the podcast. This is a photo of Thorn next to the main shaft. I think that's all I could say.
There's a sign behind me that says main shaft, and I'm standing in front of it kind of cracking up because it says main shaft. And the photo actually, as like dirty-minded as the joke of the photo is, it's in the cleanest place it could possibly be, which is Disney.
No.
Yeah. So this was from the day after BlizzCon 2017, where a bunch of us all went to Disneyland, as a lot of people do after BlizzCon.
Yeah, DizCon.
Yes, absolutely. And this is just in line for, I couldn't even tell you what ride. I have no idea. But the place that you wait in those very long and winding lines, you're surrounded by what looks like a movie set of Disney to like immerse you in the environment, right? So this is just, it was supposed to be like a mine shaft or something like that, but this was the main shaft. And that was just too funny to pass up.
That's too good. And quick shout out to Terpster for coining the term DizCon. And of course, he also coined the term JizzCon, which is the one that happens after that. So,
oh man,
we got two more photos here. This one, I've seen a lot of your pet photos, and they're absolutely adorable. You have a ton of pets, based on the photos I've seen. How many pets do you have?
5 altogether. 2 dogs and 3 cats.
And they all get along?
For the most part. Yeah, there's the one that's in this photo is Kiki. That's our youngest of the group.
Okay.
I rescued her from a highway. She was just running around across the lanes on a highway, and I pulled over like, nope, that's not happening on my watch. And then I almost got myself killed trying to grab her out of But she's my little buddy, and she doesn't really like anybody else. So.
Oh, really?
She's a little black cat for those of you playing at home, and we have a larger, more adult black cat, and those two have a love-hate relationship where they'll be either playing together or hating each other, and that's really the main pet that she also interacts with. Other than that, I think she's mostly really skittish and scared, and I think that has to do with having found her on a highway running between cars in active traffic, for one. And I was kind of hoping she'd grow out of it. It doesn't seem like it will be, so I think I've just got a little scaredy cat, and she's my little buddy. So, you know, she plays with the one cat, but then with me, we have that special relationship where she'll come and like tackle me and then lay on my shoulder and curl up, and it's just like the cutest thing. But she doesn't do that with anybody else.
That's awesome, man. Oh, that's so adorable. Kiki looks so cute. Yeah, it's so cute. All right, last photo. Of course, we've mentioned it countless times already here on this show, and of course, you can't go through a Lagging Balls minute without mentioning the Horde. So,
that's right.
Yeah, tell us what you can about this this photo, sir.
So this was actually taken at work. It was a selfie I took at work. I forget why. It might have been for no reason at all, just because I happened to be wearing that day, and I wanted to Horde represent a little bit. Because you got to show the flag. You know what I'm saying? But I also just it tickles me when I bring things that are gaming related into the workplace, and so you know I have trinkets all over my desk. I've got a Cho figurine on my desk,
Cho?
And he's just like.
And then your wife has gall. Is that is that
How it works? No, the Pandaren. So he's just like
okay.
this huge like
Lore
I
Walker.
forget his full name. Yeah, that's it. Wait,
yeah.
I think I have the wrong name actually. It's one of the Pandaren.
Is it Lore Walker Cho? Let me look it up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. I don't know if that's the one that I have though. Now I'm second guessing myself. Point is, I have a giant Pandaren on my desk, and that tickles me, right? And then I have like this Super Mario related art that's in like a very artful style that's up on my shelf, and like these are the things that. And the backpack I carry to and from work in and out of the office each day is an Overwatch backpack. And that's how I found my tribe at work, is because people saw that and they were like, hey, do you play Overwatch? And I was like, all right, new friend. Let's talk.
All right,
you are definitely not a muggle, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
You are not.
Turns out they're all Grandmaster ranks and everything.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Just a pleb.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's so great, and that's kind of why we do it, right? Like, on the off chance that you find someone like-minded in proximity, you know, you want to bait him out, you want to lure him out with the kibble. That's awesome, dude. That's fantastic. All right, I don't want to keep you too long, Thorn, right? Because we're already on 2 hours with you, and that's way too much time to bore you with, you know, this nonsense that my mom would say, but.
You got me talking about myself. I couldn't be more invested.
Okay, then 6 more hours of GameByte, guys. Sit back.
Oh, boy.
I have 2 questions for you. DZ, you have anything you want to ask Thorn?
Think
Think about it, man.
Which
Think
team?
about it, yeah.
Which team in Overwatch League are you rooting for?
NYXL, the New York
Nice.
Excelsior. Both
Nice.
Originally because of proximity, and then after that because I just fell in love with the players. They're really awesome, and I went to some of their live events here in New York, and just such a great vibe. Their team, the Five Deadly Venoms, is their booster club, which started as a community-oriented booster club and became their official kind of booster club, affiliated with the organization.
Man.
Those guys are amazing and super inclusive and super supportive. When they have viewing parties at like a local bar or whatever, or there's a cyber cafe, gaming cafe kind of thing that they
a PC
have it
bang?
regularly. Yeah, exactly. PC bang. That's it. When they have those events, they literally have people walking around like leading cheers with the crowd.
Wow.
They'll be like, "Let's go Excelsior," or whatever. Like, you know, they'll make these like NY XL.
Oh,
like,
that's
you know,
so
like,
cool.
Yeah, so the crowd is hype as hell. They create their own energy. They include everyone. I love it. It's amazing. So
That's
I really fell
fantastic.
for that. Yeah. Once again, the community, right, is the big driver, and I love that.
Exactly. One day we'll get one of those, DZ. All right, we'll find one of those.
Q S, and that's it.
All right. I lost my train of thought.
Is this gonna be the big sign off?
No, not yet.
Not
We
yet?
have 2 more questions because
All right,
I know
great,
we're gonna. I have a feeling. I have a strong feeling we're gonna get Thorn on again in the very near future. But you know, I got to throw out a couple more questions. You know, I got to make his time worth it. So Thorn, we're leaning heavily towards. I know we just asked an Overwatch question, but we're lacking a little lore in Overwatch, so I don't want to delve too deep into it. So we'll do that next show. Right now, I want to keep going back to the Warcraft side of things, and I want to ask you, Thorn, if the goblins were to blow up Ajara, as they already have, if they were going to blow it up even further, who would be on your Horde Mount Rushmore, and why?
Wow. Okay.
Now, take your time, man. Take your time. Take your time.
Sure. Thrall, Durotan, Vol'jin. Before the current storyline, I would have said Sylvanas.
Ooh.
Karen Bloodhoof. I'm forgetting a bunch, but I think that'd be a good start.
Yeah, we'll throw 4 to 5 of them up there, because the goblins are laboring really hard. That's an awesome list.
And since it's them building it, and it's very likely going to be funded by Gallywix. Obviously, Prince Gallywix would have to be up there too. We wouldn't want him, but he'd put himself up there anyway.
Oh yeah, and he looks super, super slim and gallant. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have never been to the Gallywix Pleasure Palace, do yourself a favor. Go check that little plateau out.
Do you need flying to get there? Because I've only gone there on my main.
I'm not sure if there's a way to run up to it or not. I don't think there's a flight point there. You might need.
Okay, I want to go there with my RP friends, and then just lounge around the Pleasure Palace.
Yeah.
Just lounge around.
What faction are you guys playing on? I can't remember.
We're on Horde. We're role playing some Hordes.
Okay, yeah. So you could find somebody like me who has a 2-person mount, and I can fly you there.
That's my boy. That's my boy right there.
I'll fly you there. I'll show you around.
We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. I love that. I gotta add you on Battlenet.
I summer there, so
See, guys with timeshares like Thorn, very valuable friends. Very valuable friends.
Be a horrible place to have a timeshare.
Oh man! All right, and lastly, outside of Warcraft, I too frequent Reddit, Thorn, and I wanted to ask you how you would spend your cake days on Reddit. People just usually greet you and say, "Happy Cake Day! Happy Cake Day!" All right, but if you were in charge of Reddit, how would you have people celebrate cake days?
I very much like the idea of the cake days to begin with. I am happy to say that I just celebrated recently my 11th cake day on Reddit. I was a relatively early adopter on that site, and I'm very, very proud of that. Even though my karma is quite low for having been involved that long. I would love it if the cake day was like one of the main subreddits, because I love that it's such a celebration of the culture itself. And I think there is a cake day subreddit, though I'm not sure too many people really care. To be honest. So I just love that. I love when sometimes the things that make it to the front page or the top of Reddit or whatever end up being something that's related to somebody's cake day. That just makes me happy. So
that's awesome.
I like the idea of trying to facilitate that in some way. I have no idea what the best way would be, because sometimes, I think for my last one, I put up photos of Gigi, my other black cat, because black cats just tend to be kind of less sought after, just like black dogs. For whatever reason, people are not as drawn to animals who are just happen to be very black. I don't know if it's an animal racism thing or I'm just kidding. But
black cats they just don't work as hard as white cats.
Jesus. No, but that's it. I was trying to to put the promote black cats, because they're the people who have them are really great about it, and put things out with hashtags that are black cats rule and stuff like that and whatever. They're just as varied as any other color or markings of a cat, and but they happen to be the ones that tend to get more mistreated. They'll be bought for Halloween and then kind of discarded, which is a pretty messed up thing to do. And so I was trying to do something positive with that, and I just it to me that didn't go anywhere, and that failed. It got like 0 karma, nobody gave a shit, and that's fine. Like for me, it was my own cake day. I'm gonna put out my own thing. So I like the idea of there being a place for cake days. I love it when I see something cake day related that makes it to the front page. But like I don't, if I was gonna try and facilitate that, I'm not sure. I think I'd have to think about that question more.
Okay. Yeah, no, man. That's an amazing answer, and I love it. I love it. And Reddit is such a great place. I didn't even know Reddit was 11 years old, like over 11 years old. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
12 or 13 even, I think.
Oof, man. Back with the yeah.
I was searching for what cake day is. Like
it's your anniversary on Reddit.
Yeah, so like I just realized I haven't signed up on Reddit yet. So I think I'm gonna start today.
It's
Filthy
time,
lurker?
Man. Get your cake
I'm a
on.
lurker. Yeah.
You filthy lurker.
I'm a sign up tonight.
Yeah, DZ, throw some upvotes my way. I'm gonna link you.
Sure.
There you go. 13 years ago, guys, June 23rd of 2005.
Wow.
According
We're
to the
almost on
Wikipedia
the
article.
14th anniversary of Reddit.
Yep.
Damn. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks, man. It's crazy. That's crazy. All right. I have a ton more questions I want to throw Thorn's way, but we're already on an hour and 45 just on the podcast episode alone. So we got to end things here, and we got to save some. We got to leave people wanting more for the next time. So we're going to end things here as we like to cool down and do a little after show anyway. So we might as well end things for the podcast listeners. We want to thank all our most recent followers like Surekiller and Alien Socrates, who threw us a follow earlier on. Thank you so much, guys. A Miracle, Fenrir Official, Kaboom Nasty, people like Potato Boy Is Me and Fiery Scorpion 249. Don't forget about Proto Brian and Ink 54, guys. And of course, our subscribers like Human Panda 22, who have kept us going. He's had his 1-year anniversary sub, DZ. He gave us his 1-year anniversary sub last week on Tuesday when I was playing Spider-Man on stream. Ridiculous.
Awesome.
And we still have to film. We got to film a little thank you video for Human Panda because he not only is he subscribed for 1 year, he's also gifted about 17,000 subs already to people.
Wow.
So thank you so much, Human Panda. People like Francishu, Bimo King of Wu, Miko P, Sensei Humor, Neo Gear, Shillfox, Monster Plays, Ion Hammer Stream, Insta DZ, that guy, alright, and everyone else who subscribed to us at least once. You guys are all awesome and appreciate it. And of course, the people who have cheered us on with some bits, like Nerf Diva, like Neo Gear as well, and Nope Plays, ElderDjinn, and all you guys. You guys are all so awesome, and I wish I could say all your names because your names aren't listed out there, but we will eventually. All right, well, for the anniversary episode, we'll yell out everyone's names, even everyone in the chat. And speaking to the people in chat, like the Ballers and the Kittens, Wicked Kitten, ElderDjinn, Notorious KGM, everyone else who was on here, Cinder Streams. I know it's late for you guys, and we really appreciate you coming on and saying hi, stopping by. Like Thyst as well. Alien Socrates, who we mentioned. You guys are all awesome, and I'm so sorry that I wasn't able to mention everyone's name. But you guys are, thank you for stopping. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed. All right, and while we have these guys on here, we might as well find out, where we can find them outside of GameByte. So Thorn, when you're not on a show like GameByte, when you're not on GameByte itself, where can people at home find you on the interwebs?
I'm all over the place, but the best place to find me is pornhub.com/Thornbrow.
Typing it up right now. Pornhub.com. Do you
No,
live stream? Do you live stream?
Only premium.
Sorry for all our CLDT ISPs. Yeah, you can't access that website here. But if you're on Converge on the other internet,
we have ISPs here, Thorn, that block websites that.
VPN is your friend.
Yeah, VPNs are. Yeah, it's true. That's true. Sorry, Thorn. We didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. Not at all. Online, the best place to find me is on Twitter, twitter.com/Thornbrow.
Awesome.
Also, you can find the Laggin Balls show at lagginballs.com. We're on SoundCloud. We're in all your favorite podcast receivers, and on YouTube and everywhere, basically, under Laggin Balls.
Yeah, check it out, guys. Lagging Balls. And you can also catch Thorn on Convert to Raid presents the Battlenet News. So check out the Battlenet News as well if you have time, because Thorn, Thyst, Pat Crane, and everyone else are so entertaining. And, if you need your fix on Battlenet related news and views. Yeah. No better way to go than Lagging Balls in the Battlenet news. DZ! These nuts! Where can people at home find you when you're not on GameByte?
People at home can find me at the usuals. Twitch.tv/InstaDZ, INSTADEEZEE. I'm still settling into my new place, so I haven't been able to set up the microphones and everything, so I'm just using the regular headset mic. Hopefully by this week I can
My
get that
disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Come on, DZ, man. We just had a good show.
Yeah, I know. But I want it to be, it's more comfortable. It's like I know the sound quality is kind of weird. I should have set it up before the show, but the thing is, I'm kind of limited in space as well, so I have to. It's the cable management. The cable management is the biggest problem.
Yeah, man. Like some people are limited with time, some people are limited with space. The continuum is kind of everywhere.
I don't even have a fan. I had to turn off the air because it's past 10, and I don't want the bills to shoot up. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm sweating already.
I can't see.
It's like over right there. Like if you see the
It's good. No. I'm helping you out. Don't point it out. I was saying you can't tell.
Oh. Anyway, Herald has this problem all the time. I'm slow when it comes to these kind of jokes. All right, so yeah, Instagram, same thing. InstaDZ. I guess Twitter, but I don't use Twitter too much. Also on the side, regular job is I'm a director. So you can check out my website, www.diegoz.com. You guys need videos done, motion graphics, and et al. And Thorn, if you need help on your your website where people can find you, I can surely help you with that.
Hey, nice website.
Oh, thank you. Oh yeah, how about you, Harold? We're gonna
he's checking you out, DZ. He's checking you out. All right, you can also find DZ here on twitch.tv/quitstalling. All right, he's gonna be streaming. He's gonna be streaming his sweatiness and his gaming prowess here on twitch.tv/quitstalling. You'll get more of this face every week. So look forward to that. Look forward to that.
Cut the camera already or not yet?
No, you look amazing, and we want to keep it there. We want to keep it here for just a couple more seconds. And of course, you can also find me and DZ shoutcasting. No, we're not shoutcasting Jinx.com. What happened there? We're shoutcasting a little Overwatch. Not only are we doing Scrim Nights again, starting this Tuesday, 9 p.m. Philippine Standard Time. All right. Not only are we that's all, folks. Not only are we gonna be shoutcasting Overwatch again in our Scrim Nights, we have a lot of things lined up. We're gonna be teaming up with a couple of other organizations. We're gonna be shoutcasting for them and for you guys as well. So check it out. You can check out the Rose League on twitch.tv/the Rose League. We've already shoutcasted a match for them, and they're like, you guys are okay. All right, you're not bad. I guess you can come back. All right. I guess you can come back if we have time, if we have slots, we'll get you back. So you guys can check that out there. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Herald Plays. All right, and I'll be streaming here as well on twitch.tv/quitstalling. We have some World of Warcraft RP later on, and I'll be streaming some Spider-Man. When Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 comes out, I'll be streaming that here. Maybe Pokemon Sword and Shield. All right, who knows? We'll find a way. We'll find a way. But yes, you can find me here as well. And if you want to find more of our stuff, Facebook.com/quitstallingus to find out whenever we go live. And of course on Twitter @quitstallingus. You can find us on Instagram where we post random things. All right, @quitstalling. You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/quitstalling. And of course here on twitch.tv/quitstalling. Hit that videos tab if you want to see the videos of our past broadcasts on demand and at your fingertips. And speaking of fingertips, hit that podcast app, whether it be Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Player.fm, and the Apple Podcasts official app. And check out GameByte and, of course, the Quitstalling Geekcast. The episodes usually go up not long after they go live, so that's a little treat for you if you're on a commute, huh? If you're on a commute, if you're in the gym, you want to hear some of this going into your ear holes, check it out on podcast and, of course, on Spotify. Just type in GameByte and the Quitstalling Geekcast. Or just go to our website, quitstalling.us, and find all the links there. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been GameByte with Diego and me, Herald. Sorry we didn't have Mick, but of course we had the lovely man known as Thornbrow. Thorn, it was such a pleasure to have you on today's show, and that beard is making me so jealous right now.
Thank you so much for having me, and you know what? Sometimes it makes me jealous too.
Absolutely fantastic. We can't wait to have you back on the show, Thorn, because man, this was an experience. This was so good. So we love having guests that can hold their own and talk and just take cues, and it's so good. It's so good. And you know, it helped a lot.
Guys. Had a great time.
It helped a lot that you complimented us so much, and I'm getting choked up. Getting choked up. All
You
right.
compliment me twice as much now. You're handsome. Et al.
All right. We have a bit of an after show after the podcast goes off air, guys. So stay tuned for that if you're watching on Twitch. But for everyone else listening at home, we will see you next week on Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Manila, 6:30 a.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Tuesday night Eastern. Yes, I got that right. I'm pretty sure I got that right. 12 hours ahead is where we are. So, you know, just subtract 12 hours from that. And we will see you guys same ByTe channel. Yeah, I was like, wait, I'm not saying time right. Same ByTe channel. Till then, get off your butts and quit stalling. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody. Bye.